All that shit has to do with the end product. You might, this one, I put rappers on beats and it sound like a piece of ass. Then I put another guy on the same beat and it's a hit song. So a lot of times it ain't even just the beat that makes it a hit. It's the whole, like I'm saying, making a song is a whole nother process, you know what I mean?
I realized that to make a great record, you have to hear it in your head before you ever get started.
Right.
And you have to keep that picture in your head and stay with it. Absolutely stay with it.
When I start making music, it depends, man. I'll start with a bass line sometimes. I'll start with a loop. I'll start with an idea. You know what I mean? It pretty much varies. Sometimes drums, and then I start building the music around it.
Like, I have a short attention span, so, like, maybe I heard something on TV and then I have something in my head, so I come in here and try to do it, or maybe I'll come in here and want to pick up the guitar and just messing around, play some guitar, play some stuff on guitar that I like to play. You know what I mean? Play Jimi Hendrix or play stuff that I like. And then from that, I'll be like, oh, that sounds cool. Let me put a beat to it. Then I'll make a beat. Or, you know, me and all my friends trade drum sounds all the time. So somebody will give me a drum sound CD and I'll start sampling them and make a beat like that. And then from that, I'll be like, oh, let me put some bass in it. Let me go get the Moog. Let me get a live bass, whatever, you know what I mean? Just depends on what it is. When I'm working on a song, like, I think about, like, I look at the song like a band, because I have to be every person in the band. So I have to look and see, okay, I want strings, I want this sound, I want the drums like this.
I make beats, you know, basically the only way I know how, which is basically what I was taught and learned, you know, through making beats with Dre, you know what I mean? So it's not really difficult in the sense of how it happens. You know, you have a drum beat and you try and find, you know, something unique and something, you know, that's simple, and then you just try and find a keyboard sound or a guitar riff or whatever, you know. A lot of times, you know, you'll just hear a drum beat and in my head I can already hear a part, and then it's a matter of finding that sound to bring out that part, you know. Other times, you know, I'm just scanning through keyboard sounds, and then you hit a sound, and it's just like, oh, wait, that's saying something. And that combined with the drum beat you programmed, you know, and then things just start to roll. All it takes is that one sound.
A bass line should be simple. It should have a few notes in it, and you should stick to it, I think. If you're the bass player, there's other people playing other melodies and all kinds of other things that you don't need to get involved in. You can just play bass on the one, hit the one, you know, maybe do a slide. Boom. Just hit the one, though. One, you know. Everybody in the band has a role, so if I'm doing that, someone else is hitting some, you know, someone else is backing that up, so it means more, you know what I mean?
A lot of times it's good to just start with a real simple drum beat, something that's not too busy or doing too much, and then it enables you to be free to try different things with the other instruments. And then once you have a foundation, then maybe you go back to the drums and you switch some things up and say, okay, well, I'm hitting this rhythm on the keyboard here, so I'm going to add that bass drum. But a lot of times, yeah, it's a real simple drum beat. You know, I don't like to do, I don't have one set method. I like to mix it up. You know, I like to just try something on guitar, find an interesting sound, and then try and play a melody that sounds good to me. And then once that initial thing is there, then I try and add other elements that complement it. Same thing if I'm starting with the bass line, find something that sounds good with the drums, and then embellish it with some other colors here and there. But just, you know, I think if you get too much into a formula, you start to repeat yourself and things start sounding the same. So I'm always trying to mix it up.
I hate when I hear, like, producers and I really like their stuff and I'm like, damn, you know, their sound sounds good, but then after a while it's like their sound starts sounding the same because they get comfortable. And also record companies are like, hey, we want a song that sounds just like Drop It Like It's Hot. So, you know what I mean? So you fall into that, and I try not to do that. Like, every time I make a beat, I put a new drum kit up. I sample new sounds. I don't use the same sounds. I try to use a different pattern, use a different tempo, just like, you know, just refresh myself.
I used to get into a lot of beat blocks, you know what I mean? Like, you get to a certain point, you make these drums, you got all your sounds, and then, like, what do I do? You know what I mean? I used to get to that point all the time, and a trick for me that I think I probably picked it up from Alchemist and Evidence was, like I said, was working on the sample first. You know, for me, like these are all drums. Like, you know, from this box right here all the way to the other one, those are all drums. Like, I've never had a problem with drums. Finding drum sounds is piece of cake. But finding a dope sample to actually invest your time in, chop it up, turn it into 12 different pieces, and to see if it's even worth messing with, that's the hard part. I don't just sample straight into my ASR. You know, I don't go from a turntable and my mixer straight into the ASR like I used to in the past. I like being able to put my samples into Pro Tools, make a session, cut it up in there, you know, go through and splice my drum break or my loop in there, EQ it, you know, maximize it, get it sounding right, and save that session. Because, you know, you never know in the future, you know, what's going to happen to that beat. You know what I mean? What's going to happen to that sample? Is someone going to use it? Do I need to did I lose something? Do I need to go back and get that original sample? You know, because once it's on the record and you sampled it, it's going to be like that forever. And if you lose it, it's gone. So I always like to have my original sample source backed up on my computer so I can always get back to it in case, you know. So, you know, because to the last minute of making a beat, man, you hear other things. You're like, oh, I want to do more. I wish there was another part of the record I fucked with. But, you know, now you got it in Pro Tools. And it makes a big difference in the sound quality, too. You know what I mean? Like, just taking a record, going through a Vestax mixer into a ASR, I don't think it sounds as good as, you know, you took that same drum break, recorded into Pro Tools, put a nice L1 maximizer on it, put a Pultec EQ and get it sounding beefy, and then sampling it like that, you know? You could always wait around and just, wait till we get to the mix part and make everything nice. But to be honest with you, I always felt that a beat should sound about 90% how it's going to sound coming out of your machine anyways.
The way I create a Pro Tools file, out of reason, you know, you have to bounce it with the effect on it. So a lot of engineers don't want to have to do, they want to mix the actual sound and then add the reverb after it, so they can at least get the best sound out of that whatever snare or whatever, and EQ it and then put the effect on it. I take them, like some of them are from records, and then I layer them, and then, like in Reason, what I do is I'll layer a bunch of stuff, and then I'll bounce it down, and then I'll just make my own kits, and then I put effects on them and everything, and you know, I take some of their stock sounds and, you know, use that and just create, you know, on top of it, you know. Sometimes I never feel like a beat is done, but sometimes you just have to let it go. You know, I'll tweak and work on a beat forever, but, you know, at a certain point I decide to let it go. What I do when I make a beat though, I'll put all the elements in, I'll structure it, and then I'll just run a bunch of acapellas. And that really gives you a good indication of, like, you know, who this beat would be good for. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. I just like to hear the whole idea. You know what I'm saying?
Consider that a rapper is going to be rapping on top of it. You know, a lot of people make beats. I get beat CDs all the time. There's just all kind of shit happening. It's just fucking a million instruments, and it's like instrumental music. It's not even. It's just like it's something in itself, you know. And it's creative and it's ill, but always understand that a rapper needs to shine. It's about the rapper. It's not about you. You gotta lose the ego, you know. And I always try to make my beats strip down. Maybe it's because I rap. I could always envision how a rapper is gonna sound, but I say less is more. Do the more after the rapper lays his vocal down, and then start building around him. But give somebody something wide open. You find 9 out of 10 times a rapper will take a track with just drums more than he'll take, you know, your sample in there, because it's just something in us to rock on a breakbeat, rock on a party. It gives you that feel that's you just can't capture. That's hip hop. That's how it began. So just consider the MC.
I try to put enough on there that where I feel like I didn't put too much, and where it's like enough for somebody to like it and hear something on it and get a melody and get a vibe and get an idea, you know what I mean? And then I always know that whenever somebody raps on it or sings on it or whatever, they'll bring something out that I'll go, oh, okay, cool. Now I'll fill in the gaps.
This is the hook, this is the bridge.
Yeah, then okay, he's not singing right here. Let me put a little sound or something right here, and just just sprinkle it up and fill in the little sounds and do the drops, or maybe a sound that I have in the beat already is not going well. It doesn't go with what he's saying, so I'll take that out. or I'll change it, you know what I mean? But basically, I'll just give it to him kind of basic arrangement.
After the vocals are on, you know, while Dre's mixing, there's a big process of trying out ideas to embellish certain sections. And, you know, that's just a lot of just throwing things out, see what sticks and what doesn't, and just trying to give shape to the track, you know, so it doesn't sound stagnant and just the same thing over and over again. You kind of sometimes subliminally, sometimes, you know, you draw attention to certain parts to just, you know, bring them out, bring them to life.
Rap music is funk, it's soul, it's orchestra, classical, everything is in rap, you know what I mean? So blues, all that stuff. So you have to know blues, and you have to know James Brown, and you have to know Led Zeppelin, and you have to know Queen, and you have to know all that stuff if you want to know rap music, really.
I definitely, because I listen to all kinds of music, you know what I'm saying? I listen to Bjork, I listen to Stereo Lab, or, you know, Broadcast. I listen to all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I definitely want to branch out and do that. And, you know, I listen to all this music all day, and it's like, it's the great, you know, it's the greatest, you know what I mean? I want to be able to make that kind of music, and, you know, so I really want to become more of a musician, really learn that, you know what I'm saying? That's my biggest thing, you know. I want to accomplish that and be able to sit at a keyboard and play what I'm hearing in my head, and then to be able to jam with other musicians and to create something new, you know? Because, you know, just with hip-hop now, it's like, I think people kind of want to hear something different. You know, they want to hear something new. They want to hear, you know, they want to hear great music. They want to hear great musicianship. And I think it's eventually going to get back to that. You know what I mean?
There's always going to be room to go, and you're never going to really be satisfied. But I just say, remember the reason you started. That's the most important shit. Remember that, like that, your first idea of how you wanted to envision your career, and always go back to that. Because, like I tell people this too, is like when you're younger, your mind is way clearer. Like when I was young, I knew when somebody was lying a lot easier than I do now, because I could sense it, because my mind wasn't all full of weed and the lies that I watch on the news in this world. Like I didn't care about all that shit, so I seen clearly. Now I'm kind of like jaded by the industry, and I'm older, and I always just go listen to that voice, because I remember what I said. That's when I was clear. So just remember why you got into this, and that's the reason you should do this shit.
You know how professional basketball players, they play 82 games? You need to be doing 82 shows a year. Getting in this game is hard. You know, whether it's putting out a record, doing a live show, whether it's getting on a major label, I mean, that stuff's like 1 in a million, man. You know what I mean? It's just a very difficult game to make a career. You know, I tell everybody out there, learn how to make beats, because you have better chance of staying in the game than you do as an MC. Know that.
Another thing is having 30 beats on a beat CD is not impressive to me. I want to hear 30 songs that you're making. You know, give me 4 beats, you know what I mean, that are all crazy. Then less is definitely more in that situation. And that's it. Be the light. Don't wait for anybody. And another thing is, too, this is definitely something I've learned, is don't try to get your beats to all the big rappers. They're already big. They're already doing their thing. Break somebody new. Get with your homie, and you guys take some shit over. People will respect you much more if you break a new artist that you guys came up doing something together than they will if you got a track on Jay-Z's album. That's incredible, and that's leverage to do a lot of other stuff. But I think, you know, to break something new and to come out with something brand new and fresh is, me personally, I look at you with a lot more respect.
And nothing gonna come to you. You got to go out and go to work. People think stuff is so easy. You got to work. You got to be serious about it. Because some people take things for a joke, or they let the smoke cloud their vision up and they get off focus. Yeah, speak on it. Tell them, say, yeah, it's the truth. Yeah. But you know, you got to stay focused. You got, if it's sacrifice, somewhere along the line, you got to sacrifice for that focus. And that's the main thing. You got to stay focused. No matter what nobody talking to you, he talking now. You go ahead. Huh. All right, Kaden. That's right. Tell say focus. And stay ready. And don't be too arrogant too arrogant in your ways, in your output. Always be willing to accept, I guess, accept things. You know what I mean? Because you never know. You never know. Huh, ain't that right, Kaden?